If you are constantly tired, storing belly fat, and you feel that your energy or libido are down, you might be insulin resistant and you don't even know. And your doctor might even tell you that your blood sugar is normal, but the problem is not your blood sugar, the problem is your insulin. I've coached hundreds of men over 40 who eat clean, train hard, they think they are doing everything. Their blood work looks normal until we check their insulin. Then everything makes sense. And stay until the end because I'm going to share one food combination that drops insulin response by 30%. So in today's video, I'm going to give you 7 quick action steps that you can start applying right now in order to fight insulin resistance so that you start having more energy, more libido, more mental clarity, even more testosterone, and start sleeping better. But before we dive into these 7 steps, I want to explain a bit of what's insulin. So insulin is a storage hormone, but the problem nowadays is that people are having a lot of insulin. Why? Because they're snacking all the time, they're eating a lot of carbs, you're eating 5, 6, 7 times a day, carb-rich food, and this is always spiking your insulin. So insulin is released by your pancreas. So every time you eat, you release insulin, which means that your body will be in a fat storing mode. So if you want to burn fat, it's not just calories in, calories out, it's not just move more and eat less. You need to understand the role of hormones, specifically the role of insulin in your body, because if you want to burn fat, you need to keep your insulin levels down, of course, aligning that to a slight calorie deficit. So if you learn how to manage these 2 things, slight calorie deficit with managing your insulin levels, you're going to be a fat burning machine. All right, so without further ado, the number 1 thing that you need to start doing is cut sugar and refined carbs. This is by far the number 1 thing that is killing your fat loss, which is you're probably having a lot of carbs. So you have 3 macronutrients: protein, fats, and carbs. Keeping it simple. Proteins, everything spikes slightly your insulin, but the thing that you need to understand is when you eat protein, you spike a little bit your insulin. When you eat fats, you barely spike your insulin. When you eat carbs, you massively spike your insulin. So in order for you to start burning fat and be more insulin sensitive, you need to decrease your carb consumption while keeping your protein and fats moderate to high. And when I say sugar and refined carbs, I talk about pastries, cookies, bagels, pizza, white pasta, white bread. All these massively spike your insulin. That's the role of carbs. You feel great. But after 20, 30 minutes, 1 hour, you're going to be sluggish. You're going to have energy crash. Why? Because you had that insulin spike and then it crashes massively after 1 hour. So you want to replace these refined carbs and sugars by high quality protein and fats. Think of grass-fed steak, salmon, chicken, avocado, eggs, cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, high quality nuts. So these are high protein, high fat. If you combine these, you're going to be fine. You're going to fuel your body, you're going to fuel your muscle, and you're not going to have an energy crash, and you're going to feel satiated as well, which is the role of protein and fats. If you're going to eat a high protein and moderate fat meal, you're not going to feel cravings 1 or 2 hours later because it will provide steady energy, and you're not going to have that insulin crash that you're going to have when you have a carb-rich meal. So ideally, in terms of carbs, you want to keep them below 100 grams per day and place the carbs specifically around workout timing. You can have, for example, days where you eat more carbs and days where you eat less carbs. Ideally, you want to place carbs around the workout time. So for example, if you're going to get a great workout, then within 1 hour, 2 hours, eat more carbs, like 50 grams of carbs extra, because your body will absorb that properly. So non-training days, keep carbs below 100 grams, and training days, you can go a little bit more, maybe 150 grams. But again, try to place carbs around movement time, either walking, either workout. Very important because your body will absorb way better the sugars and the carbs that you're ingesting. Which brings me to point number 2, which is walk 10 to 15 minutes after meals. This is very underrated and it's so simple because every time you eat, you spike your insulin. The best way for you to fight that is to walk 10 to 15 minutes after meal. What happens to your body when you walk after meal is that it facilitates gastric emptying and decreases blood sugar levels, which is a great combination. If you eat, you spike your insulin, so you want to get some steps, walk 10-15 minutes, or if you cannot go for a walk outside, just at least do some movement. Don't sit, just walk a bit, just do some squats or some push-ups, because at least your body will make use of that fuel. So start doing this. You eat something, you go for a 10-minute walk or a 15-minute walk, which brings me to point number 3, which is strength training or building muscle. Muscle is like a sponge. So the more muscle you have, the more insulin sensitive you will be. Muscle acts like a glucose sponge. What it means is that if you have more muscle, you can eat more carbs because that muscle will absorb the carbs and it will decrease your insulin. That's why it's super important to incorporate strength training 3 to 4 days a week. We're not gonna dive in detail here in the type of workout. If you're training 3 days a week, do full body. If you're training 4 days a week, you can do upper body, lower body rest, then upper body, lower body. What you want is to train, build muscle, because that muscle is gonna act like a sponge, so it will give you more margin to eat more carbs and you're gonna be more insulin sensitive. So super important, build muscle in a smart way. It will decrease your insulin levels, and you want to prioritize mainly compound movement. So there is no point, for example, in going to the gym and doing planks or abdominal crunches because, okay, this is still a workout, but it's not improving your insulin sensitivity. So think of muscle groups that are big: squats, deadlift, split squats, shoulder presses, military presses, dumbbell rows, bench presses, weighted chin-ups. Which brings me to point number 4, which is apply intermittent fasting in a smart way. I deal with a lot of people, especially when they start. I'm doing a lot of fasting, but I'm not losing weight, or I'm losing weight, but then I regain everything, or I lost muscle, I felt energy crashes. Intermittent fasting is not just to eat less or fast for 16 hours and eat for 8 hours. In 8 hours, you still can overeat, or in 8 hours, you might not have enough protein. So you need to understand how to apply intermittent fasting. And for the sake of this video, what we need to understand is you want to minimize insulin spikes. And basically, fasting is a great tool to improve autophagy, which is basically cleaning your cells, and it decreases insulin spikes as well. So if you have intermittent fasting in 16 hours, basically you're kind of resetting your body, and your body will be in a fat burning state. And then during those 8 hours, you want to aim for 2 or 3 meals. 2 or 3 meals high in protein. So every meal should have at least 50 grams of protein per meal. So you want to aim, for example, one meal at 12 p.m., the other meal at 3 p.m., the other meal at 7 or 8 p.m. But try not to eat the first 4 or 5 hours of the day and the last 2 hours of the day. This is not a miracle, but it's going to give you a structure of when to start eating, when to stop eating, and it will be very important to improve insulin sensitivity. And if you combine these to the first point that I mentioned, which is go low carb, you're going to have the best combination possible. If you combine low carb, under 100 grams of carbs per day, with intermittent fasting, you're going to have the best combination possible in order to reset your insulin levels and to start burning more fat. And by the way, if you're getting value, hit subscribe, because I post videos like this every single week to help you build muscle, lose fat, and above all, optimize your health and longevity. The 5th thing that you need to do is fix your sleep. And sleep is the #1 killer that I see nowadays, is that people are working out a lot, they're on fat diets, but then they are sleeping 5 or 6 hours. If you're sleep deprived, you're increasing your cortisol levels. And if you're increasing your cortisol levels, you're gonna increase as well your insulin levels. And the problem with that is that if you're sleep deprived, constantly sleeping less than 7 hours and 6 hours, your cortisol levels are going to be elevated, which will lead to insulin resistance. And the problem is that this will increase inflammation in your body. You're going to feel tired, low energy, low libido. You're going to feel brain fog. You're not going to be able to get rid of the belly fat, because cortisol is a stress hormone. The more cortisol you have in your body, the more belly fat you're going to have. And that's why we have something that we call the cortisol belly, which is you might be in a calorie deficit. You might think that you're doing all the right things, but you're stressed. You're always in this fight or flight. You have a lot of things going on in your life. You're sleep deprived. You're always in a rush everywhere. This is what we call the cortisol belly, which is basically not a problem with calories, but a problem with inflammation in your body due to high cortisol, due to lack of sleep. Ideally, you want to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep in a dark, cold room, and avoid food the last 2 or 3 hours of the day in order to improve deep sleep and REM sleep. Because again, it's super important that you understand restorative sleep. It's not just being 8 hours in bed. It's better for you to be 7 hours in bed or 6 hours and a half with high quality sleep, deep sleep and REM sleep, than to be in bed for 8 hours with 80% light sleep. So it's important as well that you track. And personally, I use a Whoop that keeps me accountable. So I track my REM sleep, my deep sleep, so I understand what are the daily behaviors that improve my sleep, what disrupts my sleep. So great tool so far, really happy with it. And if you're struggling with sleep and you're not sure what to do, I strongly advise you to get one of these, because it's going to help you, it's going to hold you accountable. You're going to understand the behaviors that you should be having on a daily basis. Which brings me to point number 6, which is use insulin-friendly foods such as omega-3s that will fight inflammation in your body. It will improve your insulin levels as well, 1 to 2 grams per day. Magnesium glycinates, 200 to 400 milligrams before bed. Consider apple cider vinegar 1 tablespoon before meal, especially a carb-rich meal, because it will reduce insulin spike. And add cinnamon basically for the same reason as apple cider vinegar, because it will help decrease insulin spikes and improves glucose level. And again, it's important to note that these 4 supplements that I'm just telling you, they are not a miracle, but they can definitely help as long as you're correcting the points that I just mentioned. Which brings me to point number 7, which is cut seed oils and alcohol. Seed oils are highly inflammatory oils, such as canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil. And the problem with these oils is that they cause oxidative stress, leading to inflammation in your body. Inflammation will lead again to brain fog, belly fat, low energy, problems sleeping. So you want to replace these oils by high quality oils such as olive oil, avocado oil, ghee, some quality grass-fed butter. And in terms of alcohol, this is what I call the #1 fat loss killer. Alcohol will disrupt your REM sleep, your deep sleep. The next day you're gonna crave junk food. Alcohol will spike your cortisol levels, it will increase your insulin levels. Your cortisol levels will mess up with your sleep, you're gonna have less REM sleep, less deep sleep. If you're gonna drink alcohol, you're not gonna crave a salad, you're gonna crave junk food, so probably you're gonna eat crap after that. You're gonna disrupt your sleep for 2 days, for 3 days. And one thing super important as well, which is when you drink alcohol, you increase your insulin levels, you increase your cortisol, leading to more inflammation, and also it will mess up with your hunger hormones. That means you're gonna crave junk food. And also when you drink alcohol, basically the priority of your body is to get rid of that because it's a poison. Now, if your body is busy burning the alcohol, you're not burning calories from food, you're not burning carbs, you're not burning fat, and basically your body is busy trying to get rid of alcohol. So if you drink alcohol, you stop burning fat. So if you're serious about optimizing your health, your insulin levels, and overall body composition and health, I would strongly suggest that you cut alcohol completely. Losing belly fat, improving your energy levels, having more energy, it's not just about calories in, calories out, it's about understanding what's happening behind the scenes. In this case, understanding your insulin and how you can improve your insulin levels. And I guarantee that if you follow these 7 steps that I just told you, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna sleep better, you're gonna have more energy, you're gonna build more muscle, burn more fat, and you're gonna feel like yourself again. In order to reverse insulin resistance, I prepared a video right here that shows you exactly step by step the best meal for you to reverse insulin resistance. So feel free to check this out and just copy this meal and you're gonna feel way better. Subscribe and I'll see you on the next one.